Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here. I went to the auto show in Utah and looked at quite a few of the cars. The one we're looking at today is the Honda Passport Trailsport, so we're going to do a quick walk around with that vehicle. As always, I'll include a link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at the Passport Trailsport here. So powered by a 3.5 liter V6, naturally aspirated, goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. I'm sure fuel economy is going to be pretty similar to the Pilot, so expect high teens, mid-20s for city and highway. With the headlights, really boxy. Fog lights, just pretty normal with that little circles. And you'll notice tow hooks as well. They're going really hard with making this look like an off-roader. I also have skid plate protection underneath. Something to note though, this is still unibody, still has independent suspension front and rear. So it's not really going to be all that crazy capable when it comes to off-roading. It's going to be more of, what people call a soft roader. Like, it'll be able to handle some trails. It's got a good all-wheel drive system. It's got all-terrain tires, as you can see. But if you're going to do some real off-roading, you're going to want, the standard stuff, right? Solid axles, at least a solid axle in the rear, and body on frame, right? That just always performs better off-road compared to unibody with independent suspension. But this will handle way better on-road. Anyways, blacked out mirror caps, blacked out door handles, side profile, very boxy. I think they did a really good job. Kind of reminds me of the old Honda Element in some ways with the style. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that, but it's something that I somewhat see with the Passport Trailsport here. And then popping into the rear, tons of storage space. Again, this is similar in size to like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, but doesn't have a third row. So you've got tons of storage in the back. See a little outlet there. And then I thought that was cool how it folds up to the side on one side and spare tires underneath the other side with that. So they did a good job there. And again, storage, right? That's going to be important for an adventure type vehicle. And power hatch, always a nice luxury feature to have. I think the taillights look pretty cool as well. Most manufacturers are doing a pretty decent job with lighting elements. It's kind of hard to go wrong with you can go wrong with LEDs, but it's a little bit more difficult to go wrong with LEDs compared to other types of taillights in the past. Now I will say the door handles felt pretty good, just like the new Pilot. Got sunshade here for the rear, which is always a nice thing to have for the rear passengers. Nice material use throughout. Again, very similar to the new Pilot, for those of you that are wondering in terms of how everything feels inside and looks as well. You can see that carries over into the seats. And so a lot of the changes to this are going to be the style right on the exterior compared to the Pilot. Good legroom as well. And then you notice the climate controls down there. Got little charging ports, vents for the rear passengers. And I like the carpeting. I thought that was cool. Big sunroof up top. So again, you can tell that this is trying to kind of have the off-road stuff, but then also still be practical and still have some luxury stuff to make it so that it's a nice daily driver for someone, because most people really aren't going to take these off-road. Got memory seats too, and you can see all the switch gear from other Hondas there with the windows and mirror adjustment and everything. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Of course, nice to have Safety Tech Trailsport. Not so sure about this interior color. Not my first choice, that's for sure. And then you guys can see the payload right there, pretty solid. Then you gotta remember, this is ultimately just a blown up car, right? Bigger car, better way to put it. But yeah, digital gauge cluster as well. It comes with it. Tried to turn it on, didn't have a key in it, so it didn't work. Always worth testing though. But yeah, you can see all this, the same switch gear, the same steering wheel basically from the new Pilot. So I think they've done well with that whole setup. Pretty much same infotainment system, a little volume control. Nice trim on the dash. Got your climate controls down below. Heated and ventilated seats. So nice with that luxury feature. Got the wireless phone charging pad. Pretty normal with the transmission selector for modern Honda. Pretty cool trim around the cup holders. I like the drive mode select. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, Honda's drive modes kind of more so affect the traction control system than anything else. That's kind of what that's more about, the all-wheel drive system. Good storage in the center console as well. And then controls up there for like the big sunroof. Again, big panoramic sunroof, always a nice setup. storage above the center console. It had some grip stuff, if I remember right, so the stuff doesn't slide around up there. Or the glove box. Getting my words mixed up here. And yeah, overall, the new Passport, they did a good job, and they differentiated it from the Pilot quite a bit. Now, I wanted to show the Land Cruiser because it was right next to the Passport, basically, and just to show you how similar they look. Land Cruiser, though, actually a real off-roader, right? Body and frame, solid rear axle, independent front suspension. But to a normie, right, to someone who doesn't care about cars, they look at both of these vehicles, and they're pretty much the same, right? They're both, you know, boxy, off-road looking SUVs. So that is something to consider, right? So the first iteration of the 200 series, and it's crazy the price difference. I mean, once you go 2016 and above with the 200 series, the refresh versions, I mean, if it's got higher mileage, then the prices will be lower. But yeah, the lower mileage ones, they're expensive. Like sub 100,000 miles like this, and I've seen them still over $70,000 for the asking price. So yeah, it's not like it's cheap. And I will say right off the bat, the suspension in this doesn't feel any less comfortable than mine. Feels completely the same. And although the steering wheel trim's different than mine, the steering doesn't feel any different. Now I will say the engine isn't quite as smooth. So I can, and they didn't, right, it's the same engine, right? It's the 5.7 in both of them. I do think the transmission makes a difference. I noticed this, we have a Sequoia that has the 6-speed. I noticed that in the Sequoia too. The engine just not as smooth. And it doesn't seem like there's as much insulation in this. Like I can hear the engine more, which is kind of weird. But yeah, it's hard to explain unless you've driven a newer 200 series like what I have. It has this like smooth kind of just rolling forward, and with the accelerator, and the RPM stays super low. This, it goes up, like I'm noticing, it's not bad. It's still incredibly smooth. The RPM just go higher, and it's a little bit louder. Yeah, the engine just isn't quite as smooth. But we're comparing two of the best vehicles, so the handling's not all that different. And we'll say there's a little bit of